Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. I am so glad to be here. Happy hump day. So for those of you who may be new to my page, my name is Samara Perry, and I have this show every Monday and Wednesday around 6 Eastern Time. And tonight we're having a very special guest come on. Before we do that, let me just see who's around. Hey, Teresa. Hey, Cecilia. Carol. Oh my gosh. Wow. Talk about a blast from the past. Girl, it is so good to see you. You funny. Surprise. It is so good to see you all. Thank you so much. Hey, Coffee. Thank you all so much for coming on. Tonight, we want to talk about the long emotional, and sometimes expensive journey to becoming a parent. Hey, Dante, it's good to see you. Thank you for coming on. Ladies, actually tonight is a very, very special night, partly because of our guests and partly because we need our village to come together tonight more than ever before. Please do me a favor and like this live broadcast and share it out. There are a few things that I want to share with you about that the guests are going to share with you, and we want to make sure that as many people as possible get to see this. So a couple questions. How many of you are parents? I know folks like to think that black lesbians or being a lesbian, it means you can't become a parent. There are many, many ways to become a parent. There's many ways for black lesbians to become parents. And tonight, our guests, Jeanette and AJ, I see you, Jeanette. They're going to share their story with you. It's actually kind of a heartbreaking story, but we're hoping that our village can kick in and help them make their dreams a reality of becoming parents. So, like I said, please go ahead and share. I want to tell you, and for those of you, okay, so Teresa's a parent. Anyone else who's a parent or knows somebody who was a parent or knows about the process of becoming a parent? Can somebody tell me about that? Do y'all know what the experience has been like? Was it an easy journey? Was it difficult? What are some of the challenges that you had as you as you went down the process of trying to become a parent? One of my favorite things to do is to check out the YouTube channels of couples, black lesbian couples, who are in the process of becoming a parent. Hey, Carol, I'm so sorry about your loss, honey. Oh, Coffee is a parent as well. That's wonderful. Thank you. So let me just say, for those of you all out there who think that black lesbians or lesbians in general can't become parents, there are several women on the line tonight who are telling you that it is actually possible. So let me just go ahead and let you all know about the couple that we have coming on tonight. So their names are AJ and Jeanette. And so Jeanette and AJ met in 2010. According to AJ, it was on and popping basically immediately. And the reason why we're sharing their story is because it has not been easy. They have been trying to become parents for about 4 years. And, it has been a very difficult road. And we wanted to, one of the things we do here at Black Lesbian Love Lab is that we really want to let folks understand what it is like to be us, to be black lesbians, trying to basically make our way in the world. There are a lot of things that we have to figure out for ourselves because the world isn't made for us. And so that's why we have Jeanette and AJ on. They're going to share their story tonight. And like I said, if you can, please go ahead and share this out. Before we get to AJ and Jeanette, I just want to remind you all to please check out our private membership. It is, you can join our membership at community.blacklesbianlovelab.com. Our members get access to private interviews. They get access to a monthly drawing to win vacations to all over the world. We also offer ebooks. We have happy hours. Actually, this Friday night, we are going to be having a dating mixer. We actually have a lot of folks interested and have already signed up. But if you're interested in participating, please go ahead and inbox me, and I will share the information with you. All right, ladies. So go ahead and let me know. Please talk back to me. This is an interactive conversation. I don't like to feel like I'm talking to myself. So please do me the favor of commenting and let me know what your experience has been like. I know for some folks, parenting, is not an option. They want to be parents. They want to help some guide a little person through the world. It's like an important thing. There's no if, ands, or but about it. They're going to be parents no matter what. Hey, Nicole. And I know Nicole's a parent, so I know she knows what I'm talking about. All right, so let me go ahead and make sure before I bring this lovely couple on, I just want to make sure that I've shared this on my personal page because I want to make sure that everyone is aware of this story. So let me check my page here because I know my partner, she's got some newfangled things where she's made it so that I don't have to be sitting here trying to figure out how to go live. All right, so it didn't come up yet. So let me go ahead and share it on my page, and then I will invite our guests to come on and share their experience. All right. All right, ladies. Almost ready. Okay, I've shared it to my page. All right, so let's go ahead and bring on our guests. All right. So, welcome, Jeanette and AJ. Thank you so much for coming on and telling us and sharing your story with us. First of all, thank you again for being with us. And then tell us, how you guys met.
Okay.
We want to know the whole story.
We met at work. She was my supervisor.
Oh, really? Oh, my God.
She always says this to people. I was
true.
not a supervisor. That was an interim type of thing. I was not a regular supervisor. But I did semi-interview her for a position that was not directly under me.
She wasn't underneath you at all? Okay, sure.
Maybe eventually. Maybe eventually, but not in the beginning. But yeah, no, we met at work.
Okay.
Like you said, on and popping from the beginning. I mean, she walked into the office and I was sitting there. It was my first day, and I swear everything just went like black and white. And I was just like, wow, like this is her. Like she's gorgeous. Like I didn't even know if she was into girls or what, but I was like, yo, that's all me right there. So, so I just, I shook her hand, said hi, and it was on from there.
Janae, what were your thoughts when you first saw AJ? Because it was a wrap for her, but what about you?
Right. So I thought she was cute, but I didn't I try not to make assumptions about people. So I was like, oh, she's pretty, and her outfit was cute. So I was like, oh, I would wear that. Like, so I was like, I'm gonna have to watch this, outfit situation, but that was cute. She don't dress like that anymore. But
yeah, I had to dress more feminine at that point. So it's a little off.
Right. So yeah, I just thought she was pretty, but it wasn't like I'm trying to get with her. That kind of evolved a little bit later on. So
okay, all right. So eventually it evolved, and you went on a couple of dates. So when did you know it was serious, that this is the person that you wanted to go through life with?
I mean, I knew from day one.
Yeah.
But I guess it brought it home for me. We spent New Year's together. We went to New York and spent the weekend, and it was just really nice. Like I was really into her energy. I thought that she was amazing to look at. We just had some really good time. Look at you. So yeah, I think that was fun.
Yeah, I think around the same time. It was probably a little bit before that because we had just spent a lot of time hanging out and talking, and she just kind of seemed to have her stuff together. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, frankly, she had a job, she had a car, she had an apartment. I was like, yes, check. Like, those are all things that
At higher
I wanted at a higher degree. It was good. I was like, okay, this is what I was,
Yeah.
And then I think it really seemed to feel years. We didn't even go out. Like, we went to New York because I'm from there, so we just, like, stayed in. But it was just really nice to have all that, like, uninterrupted quality time.
Nice.
That's it.
So, like, how did the proposal go down? Because I don't think I asked that question. How did that go down?
Well, so the first or the second one?
Oh, there's two.
So we did two.
Yeah, we did two.
Some of us can't even get one, but okay.
So the first one just got things like super romantic. Got some rose petals and hooked up some candles and all that stuff, and made it like I was just giving her a massage. And then I just like popped out the ring as I was giving her a massage. I think she thought I was just going to get like some more oil to put in my hands, and then I think
then you were like on your knee when I turned around. Yeah, so that was the first one, which was very nice.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah.
And the second time, you want to say the second time?
Yeah, the second time we were just on a walk in the Wissahickon, like on a trail over here in
Wait, hold on. Did you say yes the first time?
I did say yes the first time.
Okay.
And we got married.
Yes.
And then, and then just like years later, just kind of reviving the relationship. We just had another special moment.
Yeah. So we just went for a walk, and she was like, "Oh, take a picture of the river or whatever." So I was taking a picture, and then when I turned around, she was down on her knee. I thought she was tying her shoe. So she was down on her knee with like my new upgraded ring. So.
Oh, that's sweet. That's beautiful. So tell me a little bit about like when you first got together, or even when the first couple of years of marriage, did you all know that you wanted to become parents?
Yeah. I've always wanted to be a parent, like since as far back as I can remember. So that was always something that we had discussed, like this is something I want to happen. When we were going to do that, we weren't entirely sure, but it was always like on the table for me.
Did you know any other Black lesbian couples who had actually gone through the process of trying to maybe conceive or adopt or?
At that time, no, not at that time. Later, we met a couple people, but definitely not at that time.
Okay. So why was parenting important to you both?
For me, I've always had a great relationship with my mom, and her parenting style just was like, it just warms my heart. It just always felt like something like, I wanted to model myself after in some ways. So it was really important to me to be able to create life and bring life into the world, and also like raise children and support them, love them, and care for them. And I just love kids anyway, so it was all just felt right. It felt like it was one of those things that's a calling for me. I know that's not personal for everybody, but for me, it felt like it was a thing I needed to do.
Okay.
For me, I really like to have fun with kids. I like to be very, very silly and pick them up and throw them around in a very fun, non-aggressive way.
Non-shaking me kind of way.
Not like that. But yeah, I always I've done it. So I just really wanted to become a parent with my wife. It wasn't something that I thought about before meeting Jeanette, but after meeting her, I was like, yeah, like this is solid. Like I really would like to see her mother our child. Like I see just how passionate she is and how warm and loving she is with me. And so I'm like, we need to just put that energy to a child to do that together. So that really evolved for me throughout our relationship.
Okay. So let me pause for a moment and just check to make sure that there aren't any questions. However, ladies, if you are just coming in, just want to let you all know, I'm talking with Jeanette and AJ. They're a married couple who are sharing with us their journey to parenting. If you've just joined, please stay on. And if you can, please go ahead and share this live broadcast out. We would really appreciate it. Please share it on your personal page. If you're part of a group of some sort, please share it. Because our stories are very important, and we want to make sure that more people get to hear these stories. All right. So let's continue, Jeanette and AJ. So, like, when you started to try to become a parent, did you know if you wanted to actually conceive or adopt? Like, what was going through your minds when you started the process?
Yeah, conceive was like the first thing.
Really?
I've always wanted to be pregnant and to, birth children into the world. So that was like number one. We did have some discussion about adoption or fostering, like kind of after having biological children. But, life happens and things change. But yeah, definitely conception was the first idea for us.
Okay. So how did you guys go about conceiving?
Well, did a few different things.
Right. The first we will not recommend, so I would not even go into detail about that. But that was just highly unsafe and not the best decision. But,
I mean, we took as many precautions as possible, but we just tried like at-home insemination. Had where we just like purchased sperm and kit and all that stuff and. I tried to inseminate her.
I feel like she's the only person besides my doctor who's seen my cervix.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I had like a whole big light just shining in there.
It's ridiculous. So we don't necessarily recommend doing that. But ultimately, we went the IUI route, the intrauterine insemination route with the doctor. So bought our sperm and went and had them try it that way. We were not successful that way, so then we ended up having to go through IVF, which is what we did.
Maybe you guys can help us. What is the difference between IUI and IVF?
Right. Okay. So IUI, intrauterine insemination, is when you either have donor sperm, or if you're a hetero couple and you have a partner who has sperm, they take the sperm and literally insert it. They clean it first, obviously wash it as they call it, and they literally insert it into your cervix, so into your uterus. So they go through your cervix and into your uterus. So that happens in the doctor's office. It's a very long, skinny tube that they literally pass through your cervix into your uterus. For IVF, that is literally they're fertilizing your eggs outside of your body. So you go through the part where you have to get stimulated, like your egg stimulation, and you have to go through a lot of shots, a lot of medication, and they take your eggs out to make sure they're mature, fertilize them outside of your body, let them grow, and then when they grow and they get to a certain stage called the blastocyst, they come back. And that's how, or one or two, however many you want. Usually they do one or two.
Okay. And so it took you how many tries before that worked, before it took?
Honestly, it took, so with IUI, I think we tried like 6 times with IUI insemination. It did not work any of those times. So we were super frustrated, and that's why we ended up going through the IVF process. We got pregnant with our twins on the first try for IVF.
Wow. So before we go on and talk about the twins, tell me a little bit about the cost. Because I think that's one of the challenges, right?
Yes.
Right. That's a very big challenge. So there's a lot of costs. The sperm is $800 a pop. And it's like that much sperm. Something that people just put in the tissue and discard. Then you've got the shipping costs to ship the sperm to the clinics, and that's like $300.
It's like $200 roughly.
You've got the cost for doctor's visits.
So usually that's your copay if you have insurance.
You've got the cost for medication. If you've got really good insurance, like we happen to do, I think we paid like $300 for medication for IVF.
Per trial. So for each trial of IVF, if you have to go through the egg stimulation process, the medications without insurance can run you $3,000 to $5,000. With insurance, it can run you between $100 and $300, depending. And that's per cycle that you try to stimulate it. And you get a huge box box of medication.
It came in like a trash can or something.
Oh, no.
Bucket. Oh,
it was a bucket.
Same difference. I mean, it was huge.
Right. So IUI is the more economical because that's something that is office where you generally pay copay, and you may have to take a couple of extra pills or something. So that's like a cheap, maybe $10 or so if you have insurance.
And the sperm.
And the sperm costs, obviously. IVF, on the other hand, is 5 figures.
Right. So it's $10,500
well, that
for one
depends on
try.
the place, so we can't say that, right?
Well, for the place that we know of.
Every clinic is different, but roughly it's 5 figures, and they have the options for 1 try. Usually they have options for 2 or 3 tries, and then they have a lot of places have a kind of shared risk type of program where they give you, they guarantee you basically either a kid or you get your money back up to 5 or 6 tries. And those are usually helpful for people, but it's costly. I mean, I'm not talking 10,000, I'm talking more than that, right? Like, so this is
28,000. Just
this is like putting all the business out there, but
I appreciate you sharing that, because I would have never guessed that. I would have never guessed how much it costs. So like, what do you all do to, like, not to get all up in your business, but like, that's something that you have to either save for or borrow from. Like, most people don't have 30 grand sitting around, to have.
Pulling from lots of different places, but yeah, you definitely, if you're planning to conceive as a lesbian couple, as a same-sex couple in general, you definitely want to try and save. Like, anyway, you should save, period, if you're trying to parent, right? Because parenting is expensive. But definitely, if you know that you have to go this route where you have to purchase sperm, that in and of itself is its own huge cost, and it's not like you can get on like a payment plan. I mean, I think they have some kind of credit options to a degree, but like, basically,
they want all their money.
You got to pay that $800, $1,200, whatever, and your doctor is usually recommending that you get 2 to 5 vials. That's 800 times 5 or times 3 or 4. So you need to plan for that. So you use your 403b, use your 401k. You may take out a loan if you want to. Use a credit card. You save your money. Like, you pull money from different areas.
Yeah, and I know for us, like, at one point we really wanted to buy a house, and so we have put that on the back burner because we're like, we really want to be parents. So the money that we would have saved for a house, we're using that to invest in our family. I mean, it's like unfortunate that we've got to put out so much money to become parents when people, become parents just randomly. But it's just the nature of the situation.
Yeah.
Wow. So let me pause you for a moment, and let me just let ladies know, if you have any questions for AJ and Jeanette, please. Sorry, girl. If you have any questions for AJ and Jeanette, and I've been like emailing you and inboxing you, I'm like, I have to spell her name correctly. Because I have a special name. So I'm very careful about people's names. Please go ahead and put it in the comments. We would love it. We would love to. They're here, so we'd love to have you ask them any questions you have. I have questions because I'm just a nosy person, but there may be something that I'm not thinking of that maybe you can ask. So please go ahead, comment, share your experience. Again, please share this out. This is a very important broadcast. We don't normally have special guests on, but we really wanted to tell this couple's story. But let me just ask this one question that's probably on everyone's mind. So I went to your blog, Jeanette, and I saw that you had, and we'll talk about her blog in a little bit. I saw that there were some really unhelpful things people say to you, right? So one of the unhelpful things people say is, why don't you just adopt?
Yep.
So why don't you just adopt? Let's talk about that.
Actually, we are adopting.
No, hold on for a minute. Why didn't you consider adoption before?
From the beginning.
Yeah, from the very beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just really important to me to try and conceive. It was really, really important to me to be pregnant and to give birth. I'm actually terrified of giving birth, even though I did already with the girls, but I'm still scared of it, but it's still something that I really, really, really wanted to do. And it's something that like I said, my relationship with my mom has really influenced a lot of things, but just hearing her story about like my own birth just really made me want to have that kind of experience. And adoption wasn't off the table completely. It just wasn't necessarily what we wanted to do first.
Okay.
Right. And for me, like, I wanted to like experience my wife pregnant. Like, I wanted to see her belly grow and just be in that role.
Yeah.
And so like that was important to me.
Yeah. So when people say things like, why don't you just adopt, or other dismissive things to angel parents or people who are trying to conceive in general, it just really dismisses what they may want, right? So instead, ask the question, what are their options, what are their choices, what are they thinking about, versus suggesting what they do in a very dismissive way. So that's what's unhelpful about that.
Got you. Okay, so here's the question that I'd like to know. I would love it if you could tell us about Aviva and Jorah.
Oh, my babies.
I just got chills.
I know, right? So Aviva and Jorah were born on June 7th. They came early, so I was a little over 4 months pregnant when I gave birth to them. So the situation that happened to us it's called PPROM. It's preterm premature rupture of membranes. So to a degree, it's kind of the same thing that happens when your water breaks, right? But the preterm thing is obviously it's way too early. Yeah. And so one of our daughters, Jorah, who was originally on the bottom, her sac ruptured. And I had started to notice a little bit of leaking, whatever, but I called the doctor. They dismissed me. Since changed doctors, so always go to a doctor who's very, very supportive and attentive, right? But so I noticed a little bit of leaking. We went in for a ultrasound and a regular kind of blood work appointment to check and see what was going on. And then we could see that she had kind of relocated to the top. So baby A is usually the one that's closest to your cervix, and then the other one is in a different area. So she relocated, and they basically told us that day that the pregnancy was not going to be viable. We waited a day to kind of make a decision. They told us, oh, you can go home, you can wait it out, but it's not really going to, you're basically going to lose them, right? Mm-hmm. So they give you options, of course. You want to do a D&E, dilation and evacuation, and that was definitely not what I wanted to do. So I decided to give birth to them. Wow. So, yeah, at 9:04 and 9:23 p.m. on Wednesday, June 7th, I pushed them out, and we held them, and we spent the entire night with them on my chest, and with Andrea in the room, and they passed away early in the morning on June 8th, in our arms. So
yeah, that was rough.
Yeah, so it was that's really a lot of, but. Yeah, that was really, really a challenging time for us. And I kept them with me the entire next day, which was Thursday, until the woman from the funeral home came to get them, which was, again, one of the hardest things, like handing your babies to somebody else, and knowing that you're not going to see them again, because they don't let you see them again at the funeral home because it's been too long, basically. Yeah. So those are our girls. It took a while to get them here. We were super excited. We didn't find out that we even had girls until that day. Wow. We didn't know. It was still a little bit early. But yeah, that's their birth story, and they've been
it's
just everything.
And two really good friends of ours got us some cremation jewelry. So I've got this bracelet that I wear with me and today as well.
So it's actually engraved, but it's just like a bracelet.
Probably can't see it. Yeah,
that's their names.
I can see it.
Yeah. And I have mine is actually like 2 necklaces, so it looks like Roman numeral 2, but their ashes are actually in both of our necklaces and our bracelet. And we have extra ashes, obviously. So we have them cremated. Wow. And that's our girls.
AJ, would you like to share maybe some thoughts on what this was like for you?
It was rough. I don't really show like that many like sad emotions, and I don't think you've ever seen me cry.
Like one other time besides that.
Yeah, I broke down when they were born, and it was really hard. It was devastating, like to try for so long to try and get pregnant and to be so excited. And the day we found out, we had taken our mom with us to the doctor because her mom had never seen an ultrasound. Like back in the day, they didn't have those tools. So she was really excited, and so we're all in the room, and to get the news from the doctor, he's like taking a lot longer, and he's seeming a little frazzled as he's like looking at the ultrasound. So it just lets you know like something is wrong, like what is happening. So that was a very, very traumatic experience for us to have, and for her mom to have too. Like we went in there with a lot of joy and happiness, and just blind to the fact that our world could be shattered in a moment.
And I was showing already. It wasn't super big, but I definitely had a belly that was not like, that wasn't a food baby. You could tell there were babies in there. So, and they were alive. I don't know if I said that, but yeah, they were born alive, and they lived for a few hours. But yeah, so they were moving even on the ultrasound. found out that they were not going to survive. But yeah, and then they're too early, so they basically can't do anything to help save babies that are under 23 weeks. So, and I was 16, almost 17 weeks pregnant. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I got to hold them. Like she said, they were alive and they were moving when they first came out. Yeah, she saw them moving coming out. I didn't see that. I saw one Aviva moving a little bit. Yeah, and they just slowly passed. It was nice to be with them as they transitioned out of here. It just wasn't expected at all. Yeah. Had no idea.
So that happened. You lost your babies last June. Janae, you started a blog, and tell us a little bit about the blog, because it was sort of to help you kind of deal with the loss.
Absolutely. So I started blackangelmom.com as a result of losing the girls, and as a result of there kind of being a void, in my opinion, and from my research in Black women and Black people, and also Black queer people, talking about pregnancy and pregnancy loss, and just the things that come up for us, right? Like there was a lot of I joined a couple of online support groups, and we would go into a in-person support group, but frankly, everybody was white, right? Like that was what we were running into. White and straight, right? So cishet people kind of everywhere, and that's fine. But I know that there are other people like us who are trying to conceive that are experiencing this. And once I recognized how common perinatal loss is, like it's 1 in 4 women experience perinatal loss of some kind. Wow. That is a staggering statistic. And I was like, why are we not talking about this? Or why have I not seen or been, exposed to that in some way? So I said, you know what, I'm going to start this blog and kind of use it as a way to target and focus my own healing, but also to create a space for other people who may be experiencing this, that has someone talking about it who looks like them, and maybe also part of their life and their experience in that way. So it was just really important for me to do that, and to do it from a place that was kind of like funny, but also real, and also, challenging and targeted, but just creating that space was really, really an important thing. It's been really cathartic for me, and I've met a few people as a result, and that's been really helpful. I've also started like an online Facebook support group for Black Angel Mom. It's affiliated with the blog, so if you click on that link, it's in there too.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really heartbreaking, because we have all these processes and we have all these rituals around, having the baby, carrying the baby home, everyone, and then, but when you lose a child, how do you deal with that? Where do you go for that support? And then, especially if your friends and family may not know what to say, how to support you.
Right. Like people don't know what to say, so often they don't say anything, which is really rough. It was rough. Those coming home, leaving the hospital like empty was really rough. It was hard for us to cook for ourselves. Yeah. It was hard to focus on anything. I had to go to work because I just started a new job. It was really difficult for me to go to work, just in the broken state I was in. Like I was like near tears, like 90% of the time. It was rough. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just hard, but yeah, people don't really know what to say, or they say things that they think are helpful, that they think will be helpful. So that one post that you mentioned, the not so helpful things that people say, there's I think at least 2 other posts that are older that I did about that, just because as things come up, I'm like, okay, we need to put out another one just to let people know what's helpful and what's not. But people, definitely your baby's in a better place, and it's like, I know that that's intended to be helpful, but in my feeling, the best place for my baby is with me. Right? Like, so that you saying that at that moment does not make me feel any sense of relief or comfort at all.
Right? Some things that were helpful for us, like some friends came and visited, friends brought over food, like they went to the grocery store and like bought us like bundles of food. Folks cooked for us, folks sent us flowers. just like calling and checking in, just saying, hey, I'm thinking about you. That was very important.
Yeah, but it's a hard topic, and it's a sad topic, right? So like most people don't want to have the conversation, and they don't even want to go there because it just, maybe it brings up their own stuff. Maybe they can't deal with your grief around it.
Yeah. So I have Sierra is making a comment here. She says she's very sorry for your loss, and that she lost her daughter Journey the same night of her birth, 3 hours after she gave birth. Wow. I had no idea. I'm so sorry for your loss, Sierra. Wow.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And the reason why this story really appealed to me, your story appealed to me, was because, you know, again, people don't think that lesbian families, some people may think that lesbian families are not as important, or we don't go through the same emotions. You know, a parent is a parent, your child is your child. And so, you know, I wanted to just highlight the fact that this happens. You know, we try our best to bring our child into the world, and it's really sad when it doesn't work out. But just also, you know, I know you mentioned that 1 in 4 have suffered from, is it perinatal birth? Is that the correct?
Perinatal loss.
Perinatal
so like
loss.
Miscarriage, basically, whether it's early term or late term miscarriage, lots of people, 1 in 4 women will experience that. And for like stillbirth and SIDS, I think it's 1 in 160 women will experience that.
Because there's been this topic in the news about Black women are more likely to lose their children through, you know, either through after childbirth or before. And so I had, like I said, it's an epidemic at this point.
Yeah. There's also a lot of issues around maternity care for Black women, right? So like that, a lot of those articles are specifically related to those things, like people ignoring concerns that Black women are raising as like, I have this issue where this doesn't feel right. And even, I mean, that happened to us. I don't know if it would have made any difference. And obviously, sometimes that's not helpful thinking. So they should have put a woulda, like if they had seen me earlier, then maybe blah, blah, blah. But, you know, I called the doctor a week or so before giving birth to the girls and said, look, hey, it wasn't a lot, but I'm having this leaking. Like, so what's going on here? And they told me, oh, it's probably urine. The baby's probably like sitting on your bladder right now, so you're probably peeing. And I'm like, that's not pee. Like, I don't, you know, but I had never been pregnant before. So I was like, well, you know, they deal with these people. They deal with pregnant women all the time. Maybe this is just something that happens. People kept saying, lots of crazy things come out of your vagina when you're pregnant. And I was like, okay, so maybe that's what it is. But in my mind, I kind of had this concern that there was something going on. I think that happens a lot with Black women. They have this concern about something, and they talk to the doctor about it or whatever, and then people just don't respond. And it's catastrophic.
So this happened last June. And clearly this is a very tough thing for you to go through. Any advice or tips, you know, or even just tell us, how did you, I know you're still grieving, but how did you move forward as a couple? How did you support each other? What worked, what didn't work?
I think like just being patient with one another, just recognizing that we are different people now after this loss, being kind to one another, checking in about each other's needs, letting things go, like not becoming upset over small things, like recognizing our own emotional experiences, so we're not, you know, like lashing out or anything. I do notice one thing that happened for us is that like we would trigger each other, meaning like if I was sad, I would talk with her about my sadness, and she would then get sad, and then I would apologize, and she'd be like, well, I mean, I was thinking about it anyway. Like the sadness is just like always there. But we had to like have those tough conversations with each other because we went through it together. So it's like we knew that each other would get it.
Right. And I think also like not being judgmental about how people grieve, right? Like sometimes people will say, well, I'm crying, so that means that I'm grieving, and you're not, so that means that you're not grieving. And that's not accurate, right? So I'm a crier if that comes out, right? AJ is not necessarily a crier.
Mine came out in anger, I think.
Right. So, you know, in the two instances that I've seen AJ cry, like, they were both very dramatic situations, this being one of those two. So, other than that, and other than, I guess, like, right after we lost him, there would be a couple of times that night when we would both be a little tearful. But, you know, I didn't judge that. It didn't mean to me that then, oh, she didn't care that we lost a girl, or she wasn't, you know, upset about it. And I also recognized that sometimes the anger wasn't anger at me. It was just kind of like this, I don't know how to describe it. It was like just an angry state of being. Like, you were just mad
towards
about
other
everything.
people,
Right.
So
that's just, it's part of grief, right? Like, there's stages that, you know, are not linear, but there's grief stages that people go through. Their response to anger is one of them. That definitely is how she manifested a lot of her grief. So being understanding of that, understanding people are different, communicating with each other, talking with each other, journaling, writing, the blog has been really helpful for me. Connecting with other people who have had these kinds of experiences too has been hugely valuable.
Also, vacationing. We took a vacation with 2 really good friends, and that was helpful. There were some moments that we were pretty sad and triggered because we were at Disney World there, and there's like a lot of kids there.
Yeah.
We went late. Like, we went in October, so we thought they were all back in school.
Okay.
But no, it was people with babies. It wasn't like little kids with babies, which was, you know.
But we love Disney World, so that was like the happiest.
Yeah, so taking the time to get away and like AJ said, you know, just really talking to each other and remembering to like hold hands metaphorically and like literally. Like, you went through something together, right? So don't turn on each other. That was like really important to us, was to not turn to each other and be angry and fighting. Like, just really make that a safe space to hold each other and create that.
The other thing, sorry, just to add, was like throwing ourselves into hobbies. So finding things that we really enjoyed and just like going ham with that. So that was really helpful.
And the blog was part of that, really. It was something that I had been thinking about doing, not as Black Angel Mom, obviously, but I've been thinking about blogging. But I really felt like I didn't want the loss of the girls to be in vain. I'm like, we got to do something with this. Like, how can we help other people with this? And also help ourselves in the process? And so I really was like, I'm just going to start writing, and we'll see what happens. And I had a bunch of content, so I said, all right, this is going to be a blog. Let's, you know, go ahead and put it into that. And it's been other things that we've done, like goals that we've set for ourselves that kind of came out of that experience. Maybe we wouldn't have done right away, or we wouldn't have done at this particular time.
Right, like right after the girls, we created a vision board, and we were really intentional about what we wanted to accomplish out of this circumstance, and we were able to check off a lot of the things that we put on our vision board. So that was really helpful.
So there's a comment here I want to share with you all. Melanie said, I've been reading the blog and following your story since you made it public. The strength that you both possess is incredible to see unfold. Continuing to pray for you both as you move forward in this journey toward parenthood.
Thank you, Melanie.
So let's talk about the journey, because the journey continues.
The journey continues.
So there is some good news out of all of this. Maybe you go ahead and share, because of course you can share it better than I can.
Yeah, so we are literally like a few weeks away from adopting. It came completely out of the blue. It was not something, we were not signed up to be adoptive parents at any agency or anything like that. It literally was like a multiple degree of separation thing. Like, somebody knew someone who knew us and like called us about a baby who was going to be born. So, you know. And
the birth mom was looking for something very specific, and the adoption agency did not have the resource. So she was looking for a Black, same-sex, female couple, married. The adoption agency needed the couple to be in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Yeah. So it just felt like kismet. Like, we were like, oh snap, this is something that like we need to explore this. And it kind of scared us, I think, a little bit in the beginning, but then we were like, no, like we want to bring this baby home. Like, we want them to be here with us. Like, that's what we want. So yeah, so that it's coming. Like, super 3 weeks. Super duper soon. So,
yeah. Wow. So I went ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. I just said we're excited.
Okay. I didn't hear that, so I'm glad you said it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So one of the challenges, right, is we've talked about the cost that Black lesbians, that lesbians in general, people who want to give birth and are not able to conceive the heterosexual way, face in trying to become parents. And so you've shared the cost, how much it costs to do IVF, and you end up losing your babies. And now there's an added cost to adoption, especially this particular case. I want to just stick for a minute and just talk about the fact that is it normal for people to say, I want a Black lesbian to raise my child? Is that normal?
No.
I mean, we are
normally the last ones on the list to get a baby.
Yeah.
People are normally like, I don't know about the lesbian couple. So this is a huge deal.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that it's the most common thing to request.
She was very intentional. Like, she was very specific about what she wanted, and she's in.
I don't think you need to talk about that.
Sorry.
So anyway,
maybe y'all can read between the
lines. Just stop.
All right.
Necessarily that it's the most common thing. I think that obviously this is just one experience, so maybe other people do request that kind of very specific couple. But I think that sometimes when people really want, when they maybe really want the child that they're placing for adoption to be in a home where there might not be any other kids, or where there might be with people who really want a child but haven't been able to have that for whatever reason, I think that's when you get into the very nuanced category of couples, So it's it's been really, it was pretty crazy how that came, and it definitely felt like the universe was speaking to us.
Yeah. Well, let's cross our fingers and hope that this works out for you. One of the things that that I went ahead and just shared, I just shared the link to your GoFundMe page.
Thank
and
you.
For those people who are confused about why there's a GoFundMe page, maybe you can talk a little bit about the cost involved in doing adoptions.
Okay. So again, private adoption, right? So there's a difference between fostering to adopt, which then you're not paying anything, you're actually getting money from the state or whatever. But private adoption is usually where people work with an adoption agency and they kind of wait for a baby to be placed with them, or for a match to be made between them and a particular birth family. So there's a ton of costs that are associated with that. And that too is 5 figures, and that too is actually more than the cost of IVF, which is amazing. Like AJ mentioned, IVF was roughly $28,000 for us, right? And adoption can run you anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 for private adoption. So it's a very, very, very expensive thing, and I don't know if other people were aware of that, but I did not realize how expensive adoption was. And that's another reason why it's not helpful for people to be like, oh, why don't you just adopt? Like, do you know how much adoption actually costs? Like, let's talk about that for a second, right? So, it's expensive. It's a very, very, very expensive process.
Yeah.
And they need money, up front, like
before the baby is born,
before the baby is placed with you. There's a lot of costs that are involved, because there's a lot of legal stuff, obviously, with paperwork and transfer of parental rights and birth parent expenses. I mean, there's a ton of things that go along with it. And every agency, I'm sure, is a little bit different in terms of how they divvy out the cost that has to be paid. But it's pricey. Way more pricey than I expected it to be.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to have you on. We wanted folks to be able to help you if possible. And that's why I'm asking, everyone to please share this live if you can. I've gone ahead and pinned the link to their GoFundMe campaign. They're like a lot short. So we would really like as many people as possible. If you can only give, this the wonderful thing about GoFundMe is $5, $10, but whatever you can give is appreciated.
I think we're at 1%.
Yeah, it's really amazing how you can raise more money to make potato salad than you can to help someone. And I don't normally endorse GoFundMe campaigns at all. However, like I said, it's amazing that you can raise money to do something really silly, but when it comes to like helping somebody, you know, become a parent or do something really worthwhile, it's a little bit more challenging.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
we know that our village is going to come through. They're going to share the link. I pinned it to the top of the page. Share the link.
Thank you.
Share the broadcast. You know, it's very like it's a wonderful opportunity for this couple to have gone through so much. Like you tried for 4 years, right, to become parents.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and to have sort of this little rainbow at the end of like a, you know, rainstorm.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a challenge, and I think we're grateful because even though, you know, we're at 1% or, you know,
10%,
we're or 10%, we're short on what the total overall cost is. We also have had some really wonderful friends and family, and even strangers. Because there's some people that come through, she'll get an alert, and I'm like, she's like, do you know this person? I'm like, no, I don't know who that is. But there's people who have donated to us that we know and that we don't know, family, non-family, and you know, it's just been great. Like you said, any amount helps. There's people who donated $10, people who donated $50, people who donated $500. Like it just really depends on what your budget is. But we've had lovely, supportive help. We've also had people trying to donate, you know, clothes, baby clothes, or baby things to us, which have been also very helpful because that too is expensive, right? Like to buy all of that stuff. So yes, we are short. We definitely appreciate you sharing and donating if you can, like Tamara said. And I also just want to acknowledge that the people who have already kind of come through, because I think that's important as well. And we are so beyond grateful, like overwhelmed with the love that has come through from people we know and don't know. Absolutely.
Y'all have great friends. Y'all have great friends.
Yeah, we do.
Some of them are in the comments.
Yes, they are. We love y'all. Hey, baby.
Okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. It's 7:00. But you know, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your story. I see Rosalind, Soraya, Erica, Tiffany, Latasha, Sierra, Gabriel, Eva, Dantaire, Coffee, watching. Like I said, if you can, ladies. Hey, Katina. Hey, Terrell. Hey, Tracy. If you can, please go ahead and support. Like I said, I've got the link pinned there. But any final words before we wrap up?
I just want to say thank you for giving us this opportunity, you know, to talk about this very specific area of, you know, same-sex parenting, same-sex relationships that a lot of people don't really talk about. So we just really appreciate even, you know, having the opportunity and answering questions.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know somebody, I know a couple, a Black lesbian couple who lost their baby last year. They're twins. They had twins. So you know, I was like, okay, this has happened a couple times, and there must have been other people who just I don't know who this has happened to.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to share.
Yeah, it's really common. It's really common, and most people don't talk about it because you feel. I mean, there's a lot of things that come up as a woman. You feel embarrassed. You feel like the body is not doing what it's supposed to be doing. Whatever. There's a lot of things that come up, but people don't have a discussion. So I think having the platform to do so is crucial, so that people know that they're not alone and that they're not in a silo experiencing this kind of stuff. So thank you again, and thank you all for watching and listening.
Yeah. And again, for those of you who may be going through this and are looking for support, the website again is blackangelmom.com.
Okay. Yep, blackangelmom.com, all one word.
And that's for those who've had perinatal loss. Mm-hmm. There's also a Facebook group. Same name, I'm assuming.
Say again?
Same name, I'm assuming.
Yeah, the Facebook group is a closed group, so you have to answer a few questions in order to get in. I'm the admin, obviously. Yeah. But the link is the Facebook icon on the blog will take you to the group. So if you are a Black Angel parent, period, and you can request to join the group. And it's a lovely solidarity group of women and parents who just can talk about what's going on with them, get support from other people who would like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're very hopeful for you. We know this is going to work out. You're going to be parents, and we're going to want to see pictures you and your baby when this happens. So again, we know this is going to work out. We're grateful for you coming on. We're hopeful. We know this is going to work out in your favor. And just thanks again for sharing your story.
Thank you so much. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks for listening, peeps.